Hi everyone, Sharon Thomas here from Established Footsteps Ministry, and we're back again today with another episode of Christians Please. These moments where we're pausing before the Lord to listen to Him as He gives us very clear, direct instruction from His Word about how we are to live and move and have our being during these challenging days. And we always love it as you listen in. So keep doing that, keep sharing. We're just listening from heaven and just trying to hear what God would say to us from His Word. So today, His Word for us is found in 1 Timothy 6, verse 12. And it's this: Christians, please fight the good fight of faith. In this passage, Paul is actually writing to Timothy, who is a young minister, and he's giving him some instruction. He's giving him warnings. He's giving him corrections. He's telling him where he needs to focus, and he says to fight the good fight of faith. And I believe that's God's word to us today, that we would fight the good fight of faith. You know, when something is good, the opposite of that is when something is not, that it's bad. In other words, it's not going to be beneficial, right? So not necessarily bad in meaning evil. It could be if it's the opposite of good, but it could also be just less than good. It could be not beneficial. And you know what? So much of our time these days is spent on things that are not beneficial. And one of the things that's happening all around us, and maybe we've been right in the middle of it, I don't know. We'll all each have to look in the mirror of God's word here and see. But, you know, there's just been a lot of conflict going on, a lot of fighting going on over the last year and a half, especially. Now we know in the world there's been turmoil and strife from, ever since the fall in the Garden of Eden. It started happening with Cain and Abel right soon after, it didn't take long for all of that strife to start to, bubble and boil over. And it certainly is in our culture today as well, but it has seemed excessive. And I know that you know what I mean. And here's what can happen as believers: we can get distracted off into these fights, all these fights, and we stay in these places of turmoil, and really our energy is not even being put toward the fight that's most important. God says to us today, Christians, please fight the good fight. It's interesting to me, in this same chapter, as Paul is giving these instructions to Timothy, he's instructing him, and he describes how we can get off on tangents. And he talks about people who just want to talk all the time about all these other things. And he's talking about someone, he says they have a morbid interest in controversial questions and disputes about words, out of which arise envy, strife, abusive language, evil suspicions, and constant friction between men of depraved mind and deprived of the truth. I read that and I was like, oh my goodness, if that does not describe our culture today, and even the culture within the church so much, I don't know what does. And that's very sad to me, because what that tells me is that we've lost the focus of fighting the most important fight, putting our energy and our affections and our best effort toward the most important fight, and that is the fight of faith within us, and the fight of faith for others, that we would be fighting for people to come to a faith in Jesus Christ that is saving. Now, that's not to say that other issues that we feel a burden to, to stand up for and to give our energy towards, sometimes, that they're not important. There are certainly some very important fights going on right now, and many of us are called into different places in ministering to those. But I would say to you that most importantly, God is speaking to us today that the good fight, the best fight, is the fight of faith within us, that we are fighting to hold on to our faith in Jesus Christ and to keep a focus on Him and who He is, and living out of that faith, walking in that faith, knowing who He is, having that strong belief in Him no matter what, that we're fighting for that. We gotta have time and energy for that. And then also, then we're doing that for other people, that we're standing in the gap and we're fighting for others to know Christ as well. And that's got to be our number one fight. Our number one fight. God would say to us today, Christians, please fight the good fight of faith. We'll be back again soon. Thanks for joining in. See ya.